Hi, we are on the latest episode of the Silverfox Hustle podcast. I'm your host Shasi, and don't forget to share the love. We are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and the works. Now, very happy that today we have another former national player for the Singapore football team. He's a former national goalkeeper. Well, and he played for top sides in the league as well, and he started his career with Geylang. He spent 5 years there as a professional footballer, and then spent another 9 years with SAF FC and another 3 years with Home United back then. Now check this out. He's won 6 league titles, if I'm not wrong, 4 Singapore Cups, played in the AFC Cup. He played in the Asian Champions League, won the Tiger Cup in with the Singapore national team in 2004, I think. Had an overseas attachment with Arsenal FC as well, my favourite team, our team. And now he is the head of foundation goalkeeping at the LCS, the Lion City Sailors. Now, I think that's really a mouthful. Let's welcome Mr. Shahril Jantan to the Silverfox Hustle podcast. Hello, my friend.
Hi, Shashi. Thanks for having me here.
It's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to have national athletes, former national athletes, and of course now you are helping out with the future generations of Singapore football. We hear that you are going away again this Saturday or Sunday to Porto.
Yes, another 15 days away from the family.
Okay.
But definitely good experience for our under 15 boys.
Right. And these are the elite players at the LCS.
Yes, correct.
Are they there for a tournament or a training stint?
It's a training camp.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's a wonderful opportunity, isn't it?
They are very fortunate, right?
Exactly, and I don't think we had that before. We had in spurts, but not like this. Excellent.
And mostly in Asia.
Right. Brilliant stuff. Now, just a little question. How's life been since retiring? When was your last year playing professional football?
I retired end of 2015.
2015. That's a good 7 years. 7-8 years.
7-ish years. Yeah.
How has it been?
It was. I think it was something that I had planned.
Okay.
And it was something I was also looking forward to.
Okay.
I expected the adjustment in terms of work life,
right,
and my own personal life.
Right.
So it's been very, I think, interesting in a way. And if you put me back, I'll do the same. I won't change. I won't play more years.
Really?
I'll stop at where I stopped.
Brilliant. I think we will talk a little bit about this as well, because I don't think a lot of our players are like that at the present moment as well, planning for the future. We'll talk about that later on. Now, Shahril, there's loads to talk about, especially with your life, like your life story and whatnot, because it is a coloured career with championships and relationships forged as well. We're going to talk about that as well. Let's go back a little, to your childhood days. How was it like for you?
Basically, I grew up playing football.
Right.
I grew up with both parents working, so after school was always football with friends. Weekend was football at the void deck, and it's been like that,
right,
since I could recall.
Right.
I don't have parents who are in the sporting scene before.
Okay.
So it was just probably me playing and killing time growing up, and
Right.
it was the only, I guess, activity that doesn't involve a lot of money or expenses.
Right.
So it was quite easy to be around.
I want to touch on something you said. You said you played lots of football at the void decks, at the wherever, right?
Yeah.
That is something that I don't think our kids will grow up with. The void deck bit.
Yeah. It's true, because funny, because last night, before we went to bed, my wife was sharing a story with me that my boy who's turning 2 was at the void deck kicking balls with a group of older boys.
Yeah.
And then old lady came and told them off. You're not supposed to play football here. You're supposed to go to the field.
Right.
So exactly what I think one of the reasons.
Did the boy turn around and say, "Where is the field then?"
We have a field, because I stay next to this Malik, the tadpole field at Bedok.
Okay.
But it's fenced up, so you can't really actually.
I see.
I think it belongs to one of the RC. Yeah.
Interesting. Which schools did you go to?
I started at Sunshine Primary. I think It's in Toa Payoh, next to the Muhajirin Mosque, and then next to it was BT Secondary. So obviously it was the obvious choice back then. And then from then I went to IT Ang Mo Kio,
Right.
and then I went to National Service.
Right. And CCAs, was it apart from football? What did you do? Tell me.
Interestingly, I wanted to play badminton at primary 3 because I think
Okay.
that was the year that we have to choose a CCA.
Right.
I'm not sure why, but probably racket sport kind of attracted me back then.
Okay.
But it was full, and they pushed me to sepak takraw.
Okay.
So I think that was where I developed my technical skills.
Right.
And we have no football in primary school back then.
Okay.
Yeah, so football was at the void decks.
Just recreation and stuff. So your CCA was sepak takraw.
Yep.
Oh, this is interesting as well, because in a way, like, organised football started late for you.
Very, very late for me, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting that you say that, right? And so it was always sepak takraw, nothing else, no
nothing
wire or anything like that.
No, it was that, or you go to the bushes to catch spiders.
Right.
So those was like my childhood.
So you started your so-called football organised kind of playing in secondary school?
In secondary school, yes, but in a proper club,
Yeah.
I would say when I was 16.
Okay, understand. Now, football-wise, right? You like you said, you started playing football at the void decks and whatnot. Who's got you started? Like why football? Like, did you watch football? Did your father say let's play football? What is it?
I think like most of us, it's the Malaysia Cup days. So my
What
dad,
year was this, by the way?
I would say when I was 10, 11, so I was in the 1990s.
Right. Okay.
So my dad watched Malaysia
Yeah,
Cup, and,
okay,
and
right.
I remember going to matches with him, climbing gates and to get tickets. So I think that started my interest.
Nice. And listen, I just want to go back to what you touched on. This is so very interesting as well. You said you started organised proper football at 16.
Yep.
That is late, isn't it? For today's standards.
Yes, and it was only when I saw an advert on the papers that Geylang was holding a trials for the under 16 team. So that was how I got in. Also by pure chance. Before that was only school football, and school football wasn't organised back then.
Right.
Yeah.
And okay, now we go back to another question. Goalie, right? Why goalie? Did you start off as a goalie? Were you a striker always? Because everyone wants to be a striker, right? What position?
You're spot on. I started as a striker.
Okay.
So at the void decks, striker. But sometimes because I play with the older boys,
right?
And sometimes they say, okay, you go in goal.
Right.
Probably fortunate that I have good ball sense. I got good movement, and it helped me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you thought, okay, maybe I could be a goalie.
Not really. I went to the trials. I mean,
this was the Geylang one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the trial started everything.
Okay.
I went there to try out as a striker.
Okay.
But back then,
okay.
There was this Milo scheme, and you see a bunch of boys wearing green,
right?
And they're gonna get selected usually, and then there were like, I think more than 50 of them, because they separated us
right
in strikers, midfield, and because there were so many of them there, I turned and looked at the goalkeeper end, and there were only 4.
Right.
So somehow my brain started to work in that 2-3 seconds, and I said, okay, I'm gonna go there to try as a goalkeeper. And they say the rest is history.
And listen, this is amazing stuff, right? Because, okay, for starters, number one, right? Yeah. Who would ever think like you got no choice, then you play as a goalkeeper? Nobody would think that, because you would think maybe from a striker you go down to a midfielder, and then even a defender. But were you tall then?
I was tall, but you weren't thinking about height and everything.
Wow.
At that pure moment. It's just that I want to try to be part of this team.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, this is fate, isn't it? It's really, really true. And of course, just looking back again and how you went on with your career, and what it was a brilliant choice and decision that you made back then.
and factors like being chosen. Back then, Robert Lim was the guy.
Okay.
Obviously he back then didn't see much of a technical ability in me, but there must be something else that he sees.
Right.
And he hold on to that. So thank you, Robert.
Oh, Mr. Robert Lim, you got a shout out here on the podcast. Well done. And I think he has that, isn't it?
Yeah, he has that.
He has actually spotted many players like that.
Many
Right.
who made it. Yeah.
Exactly. Brilliant, man. So, actually, that was the next question I wanted to ask you. Who spotted you? So, it was Robert. Now, what was training like? So, you got selected for Geylang,
Yep.
under 16.
16, yeah.
So, who was in that squad, by the way? Anyone? I'm
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
Who's who?
We have no Rahman.
Right. Amazing.
There's no back then with Sazali Saleh.
Wow, brilliant.
With Razali Johari.
Okay.
With the Aman Anwar. So it was a good team because the chunk of them were from the Specs or Milo squad.
Right.
From the Line City squad.
Right.
Yeah. So like I'm the odd one out.
Okay.
And
Goalkeeper wise, who else was with you?
yeah. So probably lucky again for me is that there wasn't any like Line City name
right.
established keepers back then. Yeah.
Brilliant, man. Brilliant. So, what was training like for you? So did Robert take the goalkeeping training or
He took
some?
some, and then I think another coach to take me, but it's very basic, it's very isolated, it's very technical.
Right.
So it helped me in a way. Again, I feel probably I possess good movement and hand-eye coordination and
Right.
such at that age.
Right.
So it helped me a little bit. Yeah, if I'm missing those, probably it'll be a
Who were your
challenge.
coaches then back then? Do you remember off your head?
We call him Zubir.
All right.
We call him Cikgu Zubir.
Right.
Robert.
Right.
And there's Gerard. I'm not
Okay.
sure if
Okay.
I've not seen him for a long time.
Nice. So training was tough,
I think it was enjoyable.
right?
I couldn't sense or understand what tough was back then,
Okay.
but because I enjoyed being in the team.
Okay.
And back then Geylang was a well-known club.
It's a top side.
Yeah, and I had good players playing around me. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you this as well. When at that time, at that very young age, you started off late as well.
Yeah.
What was the single advice that you got from last time, and then you've kept it till now? That you thought, I think this was, something that.
I think one thing that I knew I was lacking or I had to catch up was that I was behind time in terms of development. So I had to work maybe 3-4 times harder than those who are already in the team. And I welcome competition back then.
Right.
One of other advice, I think David was around back then.
He was playing then, but
Yes,
he was still playing.
He was
then?
playing,
Right.
and he told me about getting into correct positions. When
Right.
you are in a good position, you do not have to make fantastic saves, dives, because you are just at that position where the ball will be.
Goalkeepers, young ones watching this, you don't have to make a save for the cameras. Be in a perfect position. I think I really like that, because you look at all the top goalkeepers. Yeah, they make the Hollywood saves and what.
Yeah.
But if you are in the correct positions, right, you
Yeah.
don't have to. And again, it's a brilliant advice as well. And I think that's And David was a legend as well, man.
Yeah, he was.
He's class, right?
Because that advice I got when I was like 16,
Right.
and 2 years later I was with him
Right.
in the first team.
Nice. In what? At 18?
Yeah,
Just 2 years, yeah.
yeah, and it was
wonderful.
surreal. Yeah.
It was wonderful. Then did you get selected then from 16 to 18 into the youth national setup? But at that time,
That was something that I never got.
Ah.
And I do feel disappointed. If we talk about it now, I always wanted to play in the Land City Cup.
okay, okay,
And I've never got into the 16s or 18s.
yeah,
But again, I think things happen for a reason. They have their own selection criteria.
SEA Games.
SEA Games, yes.
Yes,
So it came later.
much later, right?
So I was in the pre-Olympic first.
Okay,
But we decided not to participate
Okay.
in the pre-Olympic for reasons, and then SEA Games, yeah.
right. I think one of the reasons, if you had started earlier, would you have? You think?
Definitely. I think one of the, whenever I speak to my younger keepers, I always tell them to remember how fortunate they are getting the training that they're getting now at 9, 10, 11.
Why didn't you go for a trial before? I don't know, like from secondary one, maybe.
I don't know as well. Like probably I didn't have friends around me who are
Yeah.
into it, because from BT, and we don't have players
see.
who are in the schemes,
I see.
in the system. So yeah, probably.
Wow, listen, everything happens for a reason. I think you said it at the beginning, and I think it probably worked out for the best anyway. You never know. You could have started way earlier and then burnt out.
Yep.
You never know. These kind of things happen. Now let's move forward. I want to talk. Let's talk about your amazing club career. I think from start till the end, I say only, but it's 3 clubs. Basically, you played for 3, and they were the top clubs in Singapore, and I think you only need to do that. And because a lot of players now, they are just moving from club to club, right? But these 3 clubs, and you had an amazing career, right? Of course, you started off with Geylang, and then you won your first title with Geylang, right? Are you proud? Just looking back, right?
Yep.
For starters, are you proud of your achievements? Having started, thinking about whatever that's happened before, started at 16.
Yep.
Are you really proud of your achievements?
Definitely, because I think when I look back, not many players can say they've 6 titles in their wardrobe, and
I was
4
right, right?
cups.
6, huh?
Yeah.
I did my counting yesterday.
Correct. Yeah, 6, 4. And yes, when we play professionally, I think winning titles is
Yeah.
it should be part of your goals.
Right.
So to have that amount of championship, looking back, yeah, I think I'm proud. I think it's all in a good day's work.
I will read this out to people at home and who are watching this as well on YouTube, right? 6 league titles in the back then it was the S League, right? 4 Singapore Cups. Singapore Cups are a big thing, not like the League Cup, right? You played in the AFC Cup, and of course the big one, the Asian Champions League. That is as big as you can go in this region in club football. You won the Tiger Cup with the national team, and of course with the stint you had at Arsenal and what have you, right? Let's talk about your first title with Geylang. Tell us about that year, if you can remember. It was 2000 and...
Yeah, it was 2001.
One.
And I knew that at the end of the season we were going to be enlisted to national service.
Okay. Oh, so you haven't gone into national service yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Geylang were banking on 2 young keepers, myself and Lionel. So again, me and Lionel, we are good friends. We grew up at the youth team, and we progressed well together. Very competitive, but at the same time, it's like we are just too nice to each other sometimes.
Okay. Were you?
Off the field.
Were you all of the same age?
No, he's 2 years younger.
Okay.
Yeah. Off the field. But both of us are very competitive on it.
It should be.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
The team was made up with experienced players, experienced national team players.
Name us names, man. Come on.
We have Zulkarnain Zainal, we have Noor Ali, we have Kade,
Right.
we have Robin, Winston, Alex was on top. We have Brian Bothwell, we have Billy Bone, if you know.
Yeah.
No Rahman is there. Our bench was also full of young aspiring players. So it was a sweet moment for me. Although we were sharing playing times, I shared playing time with Lionel.
Okay.
It was, I mean as a 21-year-old, playing my first full season, I think I couldn't ask for more.
Right. And that, I mean, the names that you rattled off as well, that was a special group as well. And so there was probably around equal playing time for both of you?
I had a period where I was injured for 2-3 months.
Okay.
I tore my hip flexor. Lionel played a bit more. Lionel had more chances to play big teams also, and he did well. Hats off to him. And at the end, when it came to the selection of for the SEA Games, he got the nod ahead of me.
Right.
But it's all good. I think Yazid was the other keeper, and he did well at club.
Nice.
So yeah.
But to actually help the team, and back in your head as well, you knew that you had a part to play in the championship winning team. I think that's important as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Let's move a little forward. I think you finished your NS and you've won that championship, and then you spent 9 years at SAFFC, right? Were they already called the Warriors then? No,
No.
not yet, right?
No.
They were the
Yes.
Rhinos or something like that.
Rhinos. I mean, they did call themselves Warriors,
Yeah,
like
but-
it's a nickname of
yeah,
nickname.
right.
Yeah.
And you spent 9 years there. Let's not talk about the titles first.
Yep.
How special was SAF to you, or how special is SAF FC to you? Thinking back now.
It, I texted Colonel Cobb, I think, a couple of months back
Yeah?
to say hi.
How is he, by the way?
He's enjoying his retirement. He was recuperating from from an operation, but he's enjoying his retirement now. And it was made special. The club is special because of the people running it, because of the success it had before.
Right.
And when you play for a club like SF, I feel at moments when we have an identity or we have developed a certain, I would say, character of the team, that when opponents come to Chua Chu Kang back then,
Yeah.
they know it's going to be a tough game for them.
Right. Who do you liken SAFFC to right now in the league, in the Singapore not Singapore Premier League, in the English league, like the dominance that you had?
Oh, I mean, if you talk about this current moment, it would be Man City, right?
Right.
Yeah, because we had players in every department.
You all were the Sky Blues as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Correct. A6 back then.
Right. Right. And yeah, you guys were special. But the first title you won was in 2002. Yeah.
For SF, yeah.
Yeah, for SFSC. This was listen, it was a brilliant team, wasn't it? It was a brilliant team. And I think I'm just reading off the stats here. You guys won this title by 20 points.
Yeah, I remember we were 5 or 6 games. The last
Yeah.
5-6 games we were already champions.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? And the players that you had. Mirko played
Yep, Mirko.
top scorer as well. Top scorer. And I'm just looking at the
Tersak is there too.
Tersak as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
Bala
Konde, yeah. It was and who was the coach at that time?
Fandi was the coach.
Fandi was the coach.
Yep.
In 2002.
Yep.
Okay. And then from 2006 to 2009,
Yep.
you went on a run. 4 titles in a row. 4
That was
titles in a row.
incredible, yeah.
Was it Fandi or Richard Bock?
Richard took over early 2006
I see.
from Peter Butler, I think. Yep.
Right. And it was 4 titles in a row.
Yes.
It was amazing again. It was an amazing run. Because, listen, I'm just looking back and it was so nice to go back and Google and look at the history of our league. And in 2006, when you won it,
Yep.
in 2006, the first of the 4 in a row, guess where Young Lions was? In the league standings. And people at home watching and listening to this as well. Young Lions, they finished
Mid-table?
in 3rd.
Oh, yeah.
In 2006. And in 2007, it was close, wasn't it?
Yes, I remember that.
It was Home United. I think it was by 2 points or something like that.
Yeah.
And then in 2008, you beat Super Reds. Remember Super Reds,
Yes,
the Korean
yes, the
team,
Korean
and
team.
they were like 2 points behind or something like that. Again, very very close. You said it at the beginning, the way the team is, the character and whatever. How good were they if you compare that team to the SPL of today and maybe the top sides, Albrechts and even LCS? How do you compare? I know it's unfair. It's unfair. Different eras, different times, different players, different intensity, whatever. How do you think you guys compared?
I feel back then we had the players who know how to play the game.
Right.
We have a midfield maestro in Tersak who controls the game
Yeah.
at the tip of his fingers.
Right.
We have Alex on top, who holds the ball and
Right.
scores goals for us. At the back, we have Nenad Bacina
Right.
and Daniel Bennett.
Right.
So, I think on the mental side, we were already winners because we knew we play for a club. We represent the club. We represent SF. It's about winning titles, winning championships, and there's intrinsic motivation as well.
Right.
For me also, because I just won the year before, I want to
Yeah.
win it again.
Yeah.
And on the coaching side of things, it was also important how the coaches manage the players, because we have like star players, right?
Right.
How do I manage everyone?
How was it like? When who at that time? Okay, you let's forget about the foreign players. Okay, they Tersak and all. Who were the so-called stars locally?
Yeah, I mean, we have, again, I think I was with Winston, Robin, we have Hafizat, we have I think Azhar Baksin, and training can actually be very it can be very physical.
Right.
We have Jerry at the back,
Right.
and we all know Jerry, right? So it's competitive. It's I would say I can't recall a time where there was a lot of hugs and kisses,
Kisses.
right? Probably a day before the game where the load is a bit lighter,
Right.
but I think everybody's fighting for their spot.
Right.
Because we have a good 11 and we have a good 7, 8 on the
Right.
bench. Yeah.
Right. Listen, this is good information. This is a very, very good insight to what, to me at least, make up winners. Because you don't get winners by being nice on the field, by having hugs and kisses on the field. And I'm not even talking about against opponents. I'm talking about within oneself in the training session. You got to be competitive. You got to go into tackles. You got to, earn your 11 spot. I think this is so good. And players of today, you got to realize that as well. To be winners, you got to, get in there. Get stuck in. And this is brilliant. And so how did Richard and the staff control this in a way? Like you spoke about man management, right?
Yeah.
So were there like really sometimes physical, not physical fights as in punches, but tackles going in and then
Yeah, there were. I mean, I remember one from Jerry again.
Yeah.
They had fought with Harry Markovic. I think he was a left-sided midfielder. It was a morning training, and okay, I think it was hot, and then we had played small-sided, very high intensity, and here comes tackles after tackles, and when
Right.
Jerry came one from behind, and we had to separate them.
Right.
And I remember Fandi just say, "Training finish, off, you, fine," But what's important was that then I saw Fandi speaking to Jerry and both of them.
Right.
But as a young player back then, as much as I wasn't involved, but I was looking, I was observing.
Right.
So I catch these moments, and of course the moments of trying to compete.
Yeah.
And that stayed with me.
Right.
And I can share a short story. When I was at Arsenal, I saw something the same thing.
Okay.
So I saw Lee Dixon getting into Dennis Bergkamp in training. So they were playing a 5v5, right?
Right.
So Dixon was getting on his heels, his ankles 3-4 times. At the fifth tackle, Bergkamp turned and punched Dixon.
Punched him.
Punch him.
Okay.
And Arsene Wenger was just standing at the side, doing nothing, because the other coaching staff was, separate them. And that's how he is.
Right.
It was very competitive.
How old were you?
I was 18 then.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So I saw that. We were coming back from our training, and
Yeah.
and we saw that, and that was one of my takeaways.
Yeah.
The takeaway that I got from that is being competitive, and then 2 hours later during lunch they were together laughing.
Ah.
And I'm not kidding. If this were to happen in Singapore, you won't talk for 5 years, right? So that is how how they carry themselves. They are so competitive on the
Yeah,
pitch, but
right.
off it, top.
Oh, this is another story for this podcast. Brilliant, man. And of course, we are talking about is Arsenal your side as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, your favorite side?
Yeah, of
Nice,
course.
brilliant. Yeah, so I think there's so much to learn as well, and we talk about all this and even present players watching and looking at this, and don't go starting fights in your clubs.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it is what it is. You got to be,
Yeah.
if you want to be winners. I think that's great news. And then of course with the titles you won and all. Do you think there's a gulf in standards with the foreigners? Again, I'm asking you. This is my own opinion. I think there is a difference in standards with the foreigners that we have today.
Yep.
as compared to is there?
Definitely agree 100%. Aside from if we talk about those we have at LCS,
Yeah.
I think what we had before, even the Thai national team
Right,
players,
right.
we talk about Suti, Surachai, Tessa again. They are really
Tawan, Skripan.
Tawan.
Yeah.
When they were here, they were 2-3 notches above our local players.
Yeah.
Hence, it helped our local players as well. So we had the Croatians.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that helped elevate
Right.
the standard of play,
Yeah.
and also the development of our own local players.
Right. I think, and I've always said this before, and even in this podcast before, to get better, you need to be playing with better players. You need to be training with them every time.
Yes.
You need to observe them, what they do off the field as well. You know, what they do, what they eat, what they drink, and I think that's key. It's very, very important. National colours, Shahril. You know, I think you were disappointed not playing in the age group for the national team, but obviously you played for the national team. And how proud are you to have represented Singapore?
Every kid's dream, isn't it? So growing up, when I was watching the Malaysia Cup, I remember speaking to my dad, I want to play in the stadium, the national stadium, in front of 30,000-40,000 people. And when I got my first, I would say, call up,
Who called you up?
team manager, I think it was Eugene.
Coach wise?
It was it was Paulson.
Right.
Yeah, so Paulson. So called me up and my first game they wanted to put me in was against Uruguay's World Cup team.
Okay.
So they were en route to Korea World Cup.
Okay.
So they had to stop over.
So that was your first game
That was first game. my
against
first camp.
Uruguay.
Yeah.
Who was that team? Do you remember?
Forlan was there.
Wow.
Rakoba.
Recoba.
So it was a tough game.
Alright.
But
You started the game.
Yeah, I played the full game.
Right.
We lost 2-1.
Yeah, that's not too bad.
Not too bad. I got the man of the match.
Okay.
Icing on the cake.
Nice.
But I think the experience,
Yeah.
having my family in the stands, I
Right.
think it was 20,000 crowd. So yeah, the whole experience.
Brilliant. So that was your debut and singing the national anthem as well.
Definitely
This was at the National Stadium?
Yes.
The old National
The
Stadium,
old
right?
National Stadium.
Nice. How was your rivalry with your fellow national goalkeepers? Who were they? Rattle them off now. Lionel?
I have Rizal,
Lionel?
Rainer, Adi, Hassan was coming in later.
Okay.
We have Yazid.
Okay.
So we are not short of
at that time,
keepers at that time. Yeah, anybody could step in.
Yeah. Who was ahead at that time? Around those.
Rizal was at his peak.
Yeah.
Of course I was 22. Rizal was about 5 years older. He was 27. So
Right.
Rizal was there. Probably not playing the best season because he injured his finger. He
Right.
fractured his pinky
Okay.
in SAF. We were together.
Okay.
So yeah, I think in terms of that year, I had a very good season with SAF and
Right.
thanks Paulson for
Yeah.
playing me.
I want to ask you this question. It could be unfair, but it's okay. It's okay. Just of all these goalkeepers, right?
Yeah.
At their peak, including yourself, at your peak, who do you think was the best?
I think
Let's forget about achievements in terms
Yeah.
of trophies.
I would put Hassan.
Yeah?
Yeah.
At their peak, Hassan was okay. Or is.
Because the rest of us, I have our own special qualities,
Right.
right? I think Rizal is very commanding. You put balls in the box, he's going to collect the balls.
Right.
I feel I'm more of a shot stopper.
Okay.
Yeah. Lionel also presence in the box. But Hassan, I think his shot stopping abilities, his demanding, his commanding of the area, his crosses, his distribution.
I think that's one of his his distribution, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because he can kick.
He can
Even at
kick
that
far,
age, yes.
and I think his side volleys are top.
Right.
And
Right.
it helped. Yeah, it helped. Again, this is probably the coaching that he got. Yeah, because when growing up, I don't think the coaches focus a lot on distribution for me.
Right.
So
Different times as well, right?
Different times, and not blaming the coach back then because
Right.
it is what it is. Yeah.
Brilliant. That's a good insight as well. And Hassan, we hope you're okay because of the last game you got.
Yeah.
Right, your hit. Okay, let's move a little bit forward and this Tiger Cup in 2002.
Yep.
Uh, you guys played in the National Stadium.
Yes.
Was that your lowest point? I need to ask you this.
Yeah. I mean, I was
Tell us the story.
prepared to get this, and I'm not ashamed to share,
Yeah.
because what happened there basically shaped into the person I am today.
Okay.
It was, I mean, I had a very good season at SCF then, 2002.
Right.
And again, my respect to Posen is that because I played well in the league, he gave me that spot. So I was, other coaches probably they would pick a more senior keeper, more experience, not play well in the league, but probably win the spot because of my experience. So I got it because of my performance that year, and I had quite a few good games throughout,
Right.
friendly games. So
Okay.
because I remember we played Malaysia in Kuantan. I had a good game. We played Uruguay. We had a few more matches leading to
Right.
the Tiger Cup. So I thought to myself, I'm prepared. I'm ready.
Yeah.
And many may not know that was my first national team competition. 'Cause I have not played in national age group
Okay.
competitions.
Understand.
Yeah, I was dropped from the SEA Games, so I didn't get to experience SEA Games. So
that was
my
your first full tournament
actually
football.
yeah.
Okay.
So I only had 2 full seasons in the league.
Yeah.
So I thought it would be okay.
Yeah.
First game against Malaysia, right?
Full
So
house. Full
so
house.
it was full house, 55,000. Feeling nervous in the morning during breakfast, but try to keep myself, relax, listen to music the whole day, speak to my parents. But I think when the match came, it's just that it started with coming out of the tunnel. I was a bit overwhelmed. Yeah,
Okay.
singing the national anthem, I feel a bit overwhelmed. And when the game started, things that could have gone wrong, it went wrong, right? Of all the games, because we know we're gonna get bad games, but I would take probably blame for 2 goals. Not a direct mistake, but it's something that I feel I could have done better.
Okay.
Yeah.
An example is what, like a near post.
Near post.
post shot.
Yeah,
Right.
near post shot. One was quite fast that went between my hands.
Right. Right.
So it happened.
Right.
But if it happens against Thailand, probably people won't say anything. But it happens against Malaysia,
Right.
and I put my hand up for the performance.
Yeah.
But after that, it was quite easy to find a scapegoat.
Did you play after that? As in
Yep.
that tournament itself?
I finished the competition.
You finished
I played
all.
all.
You
yeah.
played all the games, right?
So
right.
I played well for the rest.
Right.
So even against Thailand, we drew 1-1 at the end.
Right.
But I remember making few good saves off Kiatisu.
As you are talking about that, and you are explaining about that story, I could feel the pain and the hurt in your voice as well. And what happened after that? In terms of you said about
Yeah.
in terms of scapegoat and whatever. What happened? What media?
Yeah, I mean the media didn't help.
Okay.
Taking what I say out of context. Because I remember saying that when I was singing the national anthem, my hair stood.
Yeah.
And then someone took it out and put that as a reason. I blame the fans.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, no such thing. But I think what affected me was recovering from this, because I probably took quite a long time to recover. I wasn't playing well for the next year and a half.
Wow, seriously?
Yeah.
For club as well, for the club.
As well. Yeah. So the next year, 2003, I wasn't as confident. And I went back to Geylang. I didn't have a good season.
Okay.
But things went back to me in 2006 when I went back to SF.
How did you recover? What did you have to do? Friends, family? How did they help you?
I have 2 good friends back then. I mean, they are still good friends whom I speak to a lot. Nur Rahman and Razalek Khalid.
Right.
They were always there listening to me.
Yeah.
When I ran, and especially because he played
Yeah.
at the high level
Right.
at that earlier than me. So I think those people around, friends and
Yeah.
my parents, who always tell me to, pray,
Yeah.
relax. So yeah, they help.
Right.
But I thought, thinking back then now, um, could there be someone else from the association
Yeah.
that could have helped? Yeah.
Good. That's a very good point, because the latest on I think, was it on Straits Times, when or was it CNA? I'm not sure. Jocelyn Yeo talked about mental health and the pressures that you guys go through and whatnot, right? So I think that's key. It's very important, and to those who helped you during that period as well, they have been a strength for you, and I think athletes need to understand that as well, because it's not easy, especially when you in your example with 55,000 fans.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, really. It's ridiculous. And number of caps that you won for Singapore total?
7.
7.
But back then,
When was the last?
the last was probably the Tiger Cup, actually. Was the,
So that the last game of the
Yeah.
Tiger Cup was your last cap?
Yeah. So I was in the team in 2003, 2004. Played matches, but not an A.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
What do you attribute that to? Do you have any regrets? Maybe think that you weren't, like you said, being made the scapegoat for what happened a
Yeah.
couple of years ago.
Regrets, of course.
Yeah.
In terms of performance.
Right.
Me being made, I feel being made scapegoat is something that I think it comes with playing for your country, and
And you know what? The position as well.
the patient that don't help, right? It's easy because when the goal is considered, the first thing you look at is at the goalkeeper.
Yeah, very right, man. But you've moved on, and I'm so happy for you. Obviously, you've and that was in 2002, and obviously you went on, because we spoke about that
Yeah.
after that, about the clubs, your club performances, and that was absolutely brilliant. So, kudos to you. Let's talk about life after football, and we spoke about that a little bit just now. And I wanted to ask you, did you find it tough? Moving on, that transition from being a footballer to, a lot of players find that very, very tough. And you said it at the beginning, probably not so for you, because you already probably had that in your head, you planned it out. What did you do while you were playing, like in terms of your qualifications, your coaching certs? Did you do anything?
When I think when I got married, I already started to think about life after football, actually. So
Okay. And what age was
at
this?
27.
Okay.
So I knew that I wanted to still work around the sport industry, sports scene.
Okay.
So I went back to school to take my sports diploma, and then and it was a private diploma. So I wasn't happy with what I have with the private diploma. So I went to RP to take my
Nice.
my specialist diploma,
Right.
and then I took my degree in sports management. So the whole learning journey.
All this while you were playing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So from 2007, I got my degree finally in 2013.
Right. And,
Yeah.
and I want to say this as well, because and this is not for all, but I think, and I'm not speaking for clubs as well, but I think players have got loads of time on their hands.
Yeah.
If you think about it, you can go out and do things like that. And would you advise this for current footballers? I'm talking about planning ahead, like because let's face it, it's not gonna you're not gonna
Last
earn
forever, yeah.
and until you're 40 playing football, right? So would you advise this to young players?
Definitely, but I think that there are steps that needs to be taken. I think one is to figure out your interests,
Right.
right? And then to me also, how you portray yourself as a player will help you post-player. So as a player, if you are not giving 100% in training, or not showing how you have to behave, and people have seen how you behave in not the best of, let's say, attitude and
Right.
all, it's gonna project in a way how you are.
Right.
So be a good representation of yourself now. So when you leave the game, it helps.
Yeah.
Yeah. So find an interest and then work toward that, and
Nice.
find out the pathway that can help you achieve that.
Nice. Was it the plan, like even at that time you talk about, somewhere being associated with the game and football and trying to help out? Was coaching one of it, or?
But it wasn't, and it's strange enough because, I speak to coaches, and I knew I wouldn't want to be a team coach. I don't have that interest to be a team coach.
Right.
But yes, I do want to be a goalkeeper coach. It's a specialist position. But speaking to goalkeeper coaches, it is a role or a position that is the least taken care of in every club.
Right.
The least budget is allocated to this
Right.
goalkeeper coach. So I know there wasn't really a future in that role.
Right.
Until I think LCS came about.
Right.
They presented me, what they want to do, and I saw something. Yeah.
2 questions. Why don't you want to become a team coach or a team manager or whatever?
I feel the 16 years that I've been as a goalkeeper, I really have everything at the tip of my finger as a goalkeeper coach.
Right.
And I didn't take a lot of information on the tactical side of things of a team. If you ask me now, yes, I can coach a team, back 4, keeper. Yep. I think further than that, probably that will be my challenge now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but you are you are leaning towards the specialized goalkeeping path.
Yes, definitely.
At the
Yep.
moment. That's good. Yeah. And the next question I feel actually not question. I just want to pick up on a point you said that a lot of clubs nowadays, at least over the past 1 or 2 years, they have maybe 1 or 2 specialist coach in the goalkeeping department, and you talk about the budget allotted as well. It shouldn't be the way, isn't it?
No, it shouldn't be the way. I think they gave these goalkeeper coaches the smallest budget, but they're saying that they're the most important player in the team.
It can't happen.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's
doesn't-
not balanced, right? Right.
It's just contradicting yourself.
Yeah.
By doing that.
So my hope is have a proper budget for them, and because when I came into coaching, like full-time coaching 2.5 years ago, the role of the coach is not only about doing the session. Yeah,
Right.
there's so much things to do at the back end. You need to plan, you need to do the analysis, then you need to sit down with the goalkeepers. I think there's a lot of work within the work.
Yeah. It's not only the physical side, it's the mental side that's more. It's you're always thinking about things, which is so true. Social services, you did that a little bit, right? For how
Yes.
long, and where what organization was this? I think this is very interesting.
It is because I was surfing through some job portals and I saw an ad. Back then it was called Student Care Services.
Yeah.
And then eventually it rebranded. Now it's called Shine Children and Youth Services.
Right.
So they were looking for a program exec
Okay.
to run their football program.
Okay.
So their football program, they work with youths of a certain profile from a challenging profile, and we run a league. So it's called the ACE League, which means Aspiring Character Excellence.
Okay.
A league that is focused on character development, a league that has character points not only for winning matches,
Okay.
but displaying positive character.
Nice.
So I was there for 5 years, and I enjoyed it till COVID came, basically.
So everything was put to a
Stop. It
A
was
standstill,
the program was sunsetted because our funder back then was CAG. They had difficulties because, we know the airline was affected a lot.
Right.
So then after that, they moved me to run a program in a rental housing at Spooner.
Right.
But after a few months, I didn't see a fit.
Yeah.
And the opportunity came along.
But all this while you were also doing coaching academies and
Yes, I didn't want to lose it.
Right.
It's still a passion back then.
So at these academies, were you coaching goalkeeping only or?
Goalkeeping only.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, and what, maybe I share with you what got me interested or really invested in this role was I always do my sessions with Anza at Turf City, and many times I drove past different academies who were doing goalkeeping training.
Right.
And there were a few moments that I had to stop at the side and then look and shook my head. I shook my head because for me, the fundamentals of a young goalkeeper is so important.
Right.
It's even more important than at the development stage, because if you feed them wrong technique, wrong information and everything, then we have to do corrective work. later on it's
Right.
going to be very difficult.
Right.
Yeah, so I was saying no, this is not it. So I got very interested
Yeah.
in doing full-time coaching.
Beautiful. This is beautiful insight as well, and yeah, you do see that a lot at academies as well. You just have to stop sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And then shake your head and then say, okay, this is not it, man. Now, obviously, with that aside, you have moved on to as the head of Foundation Goalkeeping at LCS. How has it been, and what is your role there, and what are the ages you do?
So under the foundation phase, I'm in charge of goalkeepers from 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Right.
So
It's a technical director of sorts for that.
yeah, so you design a curriculum,
Right.
to work with goalkeepers at that age,
Okay.
and with a long-term goal
Right.
now to pass it on to the development goalkeeper coach,
Okay.
so that they can continue the work.
Right.
And this is something I harp on all the time, because I want to package them that they are ready, and at that 13, 14, 15, the coach at the development phase doesn't have to teach them how to catch a ball anymore.
Right.
So
They
it
can
goes
move on
bit
to further.
Yeah, so it's more tactical aspect
Right.
now. So it's good that the department is aligned,
Right.
and we have a good stream of goalkeepers going through.
This is brilliant. This is key as well, and not only at one club. It has to happen at everywhere. Everywhere you go. That is the most important phase, actually. The fundamentals, the basics. You get it right, and I always also say this, right? The coaches at that phase of the kid's life is one of the most important things, and this is my opinion only. It's not Shahril's. They should be paid as well as the top level coaches, in my opinion, seriously, because they have a say in what these kids will do further on, and that's for a different podcast, a different topic as well, right? Yeah, so it's so good that what you guys are doing. Anyway, who's the goalkeeping coaches at the down the line?
So Chris is our head of goalkeeper for the club.
Right.
So he is with, and Chua, we have Chua,
Right.
that's assisting him at the first team at under 21.
Okay.
Then we have Matia.
Okay.
Is the goalkeeper development coach.
Okay.
And then there's myself.
Right.
Yeah. And now we are even hiring a part-time goalkeeper coach to help us with the football school side, DC side. Because
Important as
because
well.
of me, I'm a late bloomer, right?
Right.
So I don't believe in this guy is not good, and we cast him aside.
Right.
I think we try to keep them in our system and see if they develop at a later stage.
Has goalkeeping coaching changed over time?
A lot. And this is through experience, right? How
Right,
I went
of course.
through, like I mentioned earlier on, there was a lot of isolated drills. And now, I think everywhere in the world, we want to move on out of that isolated session to more functional session, more realism sessions.
Right.
But of course, we still work on the technical side at the start, but we don't spend too much time.
Okay.
And it also depends on the phase, at which group are you working. Because
Of
we
course.
talk about ratios, for the foundation phase, I'll put 80% is technical work. Yeah, 20%
Okay.
is
Yep.
is just technical work, which is maybe a bit of positioning and all.
Right.
But once you go to the development phase, I think the tactical side increases.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good information. Now, I just want to ask you before we move on to the next part, right? What do you think, in your opinion at least, the attributes that are key in being a top class goalkeeper? The attributes like the strengths that you need to be. Obviously, height is key, isn't it?
I think as you move along, right, as I travel,
Yeah.
and not only to Asia but to Europe, one of the physical qualities that academies look for is height.
Right.
But of course, the profile is different over there. It's easier to get tall individuals, tall boys.
Right.
So over here, we, as a department, we talk about this a lot.
Yeah.
So height is important, but it's not a must now.
Okay.
But now we look at the boy's motor skill, his movement, how well he can move side to side, how explosive he is.
Right.
Because now for the lack of height, we need to compensate with probably
True.
a better spring.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we work differently, especially for Chris who have been in Europe. when he comes, he needs to adapt to these things. So that's where I come in. I share with him, and we speak a lot about probably the attributes that's needed.
Now, you've been in the game for a long time. You've been watching the SPL for a long time. S League before that as well. What do you think are our weaknesses in goalkeeping? The present goalkeepers. Sorry.
Yeah, I think this is something not only that I see, but also I feel that when I was playing, I was always told to start high in terms of when I'm preparing for a shot.
Okay.
Try to, when the ball is at the 18 or 20,
right?
Try to be at your 6 yard.
Okay.
Yeah, but sometimes when you are high or a little higher, it gives you lesser reaction time also, right? Because you reduce.
Understand.
So especially for me, I feel because of my height, I should have probably take a couple of steps back to give me more time.
Okay.
But if I'm shorter, yes, probably a 5-6 yard starting point is correct.
So they always say it's the narrowing of angles because that's why you come out, right?
So it's always they talk about narrow angles,
right?
But do we talk about now the ball travels fast, right?
Right.
And the balls used, the ball travels faster. So do you want to talk about now giving yourself more reaction time, or you want to narrow the angle?
Oh, this is so complex, man.
Yeah, and then we talk about if you have bodies in front of you, even you want to stand high up,
right?
You can see the ball,
right?
And you have less reaction time.
So that is one of our weaknesses, as in
I feel some of us are starting
a
little high, being. And we like to do block saves at moments. I feel that we can attack the ball, which require bravery. You come out, you try to attack the ball.
Right.
We can do that, but we are always standing up, hoping that the ball hits us. So probably it's bravery.
Okay.
But it could also be many factors, coaching or environment.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, man, this is good insight, especially for people who don't know goalkeeping specifics. Even this kind of thing, right? We always know, and even as coaches, come off your line, narrow the angles and whatnot, right? But now you're telling me this, and I'm just started to think, right? So it's so many things that goes on, and again, brilliant. Just looking ahead, maybe 5 years down the road, do you think anyone coming up? At least from your LCS side, because you're there. It's not fair for you to talk about other clubs.
Yeah, I mean we
don't name names because I think
we have one boy. Yeah, we have one boy who I feel at this age, he's 13.
Right.
But he already possesses great technical skills, great I would say understanding of the game.
Okay.
He reads the game very well for the age.
Right.
So
he's 13.
He's 13. He plays with a lot of composure and calmness. So he seems to be developing well.
Right.
But again, I think it's not fair for us to say that this boy is going to make it, because it's still a long way.
Right.
But he's developing well. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, Shahril, we've got to go, but quick fire round. All right, just shoot your answers. The first thing that comes to your head, right?
Okay.
First question: best mate in football back in the day.
Nuraman.
Biggest rival back then, your biggest rival as a goalkeeper.
Lionel.
Biggest influence in your career. That's a tough one.
Early days, I would say David.
Favorite coach you played under?
Coach Lee Lim Seng.
From Home United?
Yes.
Why?
I felt it was one of the best years. I got proper coaching.
Okay. But who was the goalkeeping coach at that time?
Adi.
So when you say proper coaching came from
the team,
right? And
then it comes down to how he wants me to play. So back then he really wants me to play from the back, and he says any mistakes I'll take responsibility.
Wow.
So it forces me out of my comfort zone, and I started playing, and I enjoy it.
Right. Yeah. Brilliant, man. Brilliant. Best foreigner you have played against?
There's a few. I would say Suti. Yeah, as a winger, his crosses.
Right.
No, he's the one who whips crosses. He doesn't give you.
Right. Nice. Best defender you have played with?
I enjoyed playing with Daniel and Kenji.
Okay, great. Biggest achievement can be anything, not only in football.
I think my biggest achievement for now is, I think when I got my degree, it was something that no one would have expected because I came from an ITE background,
Right.
and then I move on.
IT students, I'm at IT, so please, things can happen. Nice. Okay, this one I think I know the answer. Coaching or playing?
Coaching.
Oh, really? I thought you said playing.
No.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, you ask me at this moment,
Yeah.
I enjoy coaching.
Wow. Okay. Favorite goalkeeper of all time?
Peter Schmeichel.
Chris Michael.
Yeah.
Your pet peeve?
I don't like goalkeepers who, the ball has gone in and they just dive for sure. you know. Yeah.
Right. That happens a lot, right?
A lot, like 2 seconds later they dive.
There's one more thing. They dive, the ball goes in, they dive, and then they feign injury.
If injury,
Have you seen that before?
Yes.
Okay, well done. Well, Shahril, thanks for being here. But before that, right, where does Shahril go from here? And what are your plans in the next few years, at least maybe 5 years down the road?
I'm hoping to get my necessary coaching badges to move up.
Right.
I want to hopefully move on to the development phase.
Yep.
But at the moment, I'm enjoying the work I do at the foundation phase. So
Right.
hopefully the next 5 years is working with the older age groups.
Nice. Again, Shahril, thank you for being here. I think it has been a wonderful episode because we found out a lot, not only about your career, it's about the goalkeeping aspect, specific stuff that I don't know, we don't know, and everybody else don't know as well. And it's so tough to be a goalkeeper. It's so tough. And again, thanks for sharing your insight on this latest episode. I wish you all the best for the next few years,
Thank
couple of
you.
years. Hopefully you get your coaching badges and do what you have to do because you've been doing a great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This has been the latest episode with Shahril, our ex-national goalkeeper and obviously at LCS right now. And till the next episode, the hustle beats talent when talent doesn't hustle. Cheers.